Lies, deceit, and a billion-dollar Ponzi. NASCAR's had its fair share of woes in the hands of sponsors. But posterity will never forget DC Solar, the company that almost dragged NASCAR to ruins. How on earth did NASCAR fall into their trap? Here's an epic story about the greatest money heist ever pulled in the history of NASCAR. In NASCAR, the name DC Solar has been trending for the worst reason since February 2018. This bad trend is because the supposed solar energy company duped NASCAR out of $1 billion. Can you imagine that? How can someone defraud a motorsports company with a net worth of $660 million or $1 billion? Scammers must really be heartless. This solar energy Ponzi scheme, DC Solar, raided the whole NASCAR team, created a lot of damage, and pulled them into a tight corner. None of the NASCAR officials or the drivers knew something was amiss until the FBI raided DC Solar. They came falling like a pack of cards. Tagged the biggest scam in NASCAR, the DC Solar sponsorship had such a crippling impact that the NASCAR Xfinity Series was shut down. Even when DC forfeited assets worth $120 billion to NASCAR, it wasn't enough to measure up to the severity of the fraud or cover up the lapse of the NASCAR teams. So, how did this scam even happen? The genesis and juicy offers. Before he developed the idea of solar energy, Jeff Karpov founded Roverland USA, a company that dealt with Land Rover and Jaguar repairs. In 2008, he changed his mind and started DC Solar, a solar energy company established in Concord, California, 2008. The company offered solar solutions to individuals and firms nationwide. DC Solar also manufactured and sold mobile generators that work with solar panels. Aside from that, DC Solar also leased generators to people who needed them. Additionally, they supplied solar panels to several higher education facilities, such as California State University and Long Beach City College. If there's one people loved about the DC Solar juicy offers, investors could always receive a steady income from the generators DC Solar leases out to them. What's more, investors could also qualify for lucrative tax credits offered by the government to encourage renewable energy in the solar sector. Think about such offers for a minute. They were super good to be true, yet DC Solar played their cards so well that no one had a clue of their true intentions. DC Solar also provided solar for the various racetracks across NASCAR. At one point, they decided to start sponsoring motorsports. The sponsorship began in 2008 with Christopher Bell and Kyle Larson in the NASCAR Truck Race Series. In 2017, they switched to Chip Ganassi Racing and supported Jamie McMurray and Brennan Poole in the Cup and Xfinity Series. Jeffrey Karpov wasn't alone in the sponsorship spree. His wife, Paulette Karpov, encouraged him all the way. The sponsorship swindled. Due to how good DC Solar was, it became very famous. It was one of the most respected businesses in California. A magazine company nicknamed them a renewable energy powerhouse, a house that solved all solar and energy problems. DC Solar didn't just invent customer satisfaction. Their good deeds attracted prominent investors like Warren Buffett Company, insurance company Progressive, Sherwin-Williams, and Berkshire Hathaway. Though they already started with a part of NASCAR, DC Solar became heavily involved in 2015. The company became the top sponsor for most of NASCAR's races, including the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Iowa Speedway and the one hosted at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Giving out awards was also one of the things Jeff Karpov used to capture the hearts of many. He once awarded a trophy to the race winner at the 2016 Camping World Truck Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Soon, speedways associated with NASCAR started buying stuff like mobile solar generators, charging stations, and light towers from DC Solar for their tracks. Like the queen of the night, Paulette Karpov controlled the cash that the Ponzi scheme generated. She ensured their plans covered the company's third-party lease revenue, producing fake engineering reports for the investors and persuading everyone to think that they were legit. At one point, DC Solar announced that it would stop manufacturing solar generators and lights to focus on only selling. According to them, this was in a bid to generate more income to sponsor more programs. While carrying out the fraudulent activity, Paulette Karpov and her husband stashed away millions of dollars. For 8 dark years, they enjoyed massive wealth from investors and included luxury real estate in Lake Tahoe, Las Vegas, the Caribbean property, and Cabo San Lucas. They also enjoyed over 150 luxury and collector vehicles, a private jet with free subscription service, and lavish change of jewelry sets, clothes, and shoes, not to mention free vacations to any city of their choice, courtesy of those who benefited from their fraud. As if that wasn't enough, the money heist couple purchased a suite at a professional football stadium just to add to their luxurious properties. Who would enjoy such luxury and wish for it to stop? Jeff and Paulette were out to squeeze everyone who trusted them dry. The fake solar generators uncovered. DC Solar manufactured and leased solar-powered generators and lights. The interested investors would pay down the generators, and DC Solar would lease them out to third parties. They sold solar generators that did not exist to investors and made it appear as if they existed in locations that they did not. They also created false financial statements and obtained false lease contracts, among other Ponzi efforts to cover up for the lapses and continue the fraud when the third-party leases were generated. Contrary to what the company holders told the investors, 94% of the revenue claimed by DC Solar Distribution from supposed third-party leasing came from cash given by the new investors. These innocent investors didn't know that these generators or solar lights that DC Solar claimed to lease did not exist. They never took possession of the generators. All they knew was to receive lease payments and substantial tax credits. No one, including the beneficiaries, knew that the whole DC Solar Suite offers were fraud until the FBI raided the master planner's home, Jeff Kapoff, on December 18, 2018. That raid marked the beginning of the end for the Ponzi lord and his partners in crime because, within a blink, DC Solar was gone. During the search, the FBI found over $18,000 in cash in Kapoff's purse, another over $18,000 cash in the master bedroom, over $22,000 in cash in a safe in the closet, and over $9,000 cash inside the Kapoff's vehicles they parked at their residence garage. With such money, the Ponzi lords could easily find their way to a safe hideout and be lost forever, but they ran out of luck. The aftermath in Nascar's woes. When everyone realized the DC Solar saga and sweet offer spree were scams, the Nascar team was the most affected. Here's a brief rundown of how it ended in tears for them. First, Chip Ganassi Racing had to cancel its 2019 Xfinity season because it had no sponsor. Not only that, DC Solar still owed the team $4.31 million. Due to this debt, Ross Chastain and Kyle Larson were without 2019 Xfinity rides. Secondly, Larson lost his car. The Fed seized the vehicle and auctioned it because it was the car Jeff Kapoff gifted him when he won the Daytona Xfinity Series race in 2018. The speedways associated with NASCAR also had a share of the pain. DC Solar owed the International Speedway Corporation $1 million. Not just that, one of their tracks became useless because many of the solar generators DC Solar Solutions offered weren't functioning. That's not all. DC Solar also owes the Richmond International Raceway, the Phoenix Motor Speedway, the Kansas Speedway, and the Talladega Superspeedway $750,000 each. They also owe the International Speedway Corporation $1 million, while the company that services Daytona is suffering with their debt of $750,000. The final verdict. On November 9, 2021, Jeffrey Kapoff's cup filled to the brim, and his deeds were in the open. He was sentenced to 30 years in prison after he pled guilty to conspiracy charges of committing wire fraud and money laundering. His wife Paulette and 5 other workers who aided him also pleaded guilty to similar charges concerning the Ponzi scheme. According to the plea of guilty agreements filed with the Eastern District of California, the 30 years in prison for Jeff was valid, while his wife was sentenced to 15 years. The agreement stated that the Ponzi scheme operated from March 2011 to December 2018 and ended with the raids by the FBI on Jeffrey's residence in Martinez, California, and DC Solar's headquarters in Benicia, California. The DC Solar panel scheme and its aftermath are complicated and severe. Aside from NASCAR, the Ponzi scheme affected many companies, from AT&T to Legendary, and prominent investor Warren Buffett. DC Solar may have been $120 million richer when the FBI caught them for the fraud, but that won't get close to repaying the damage caused by their long-term scam. The damage has been done and most of those affected are yet to recover. The dark side to this is DC Solar has ruined chances for genuine companies that may want to sponsor the racing company. On the bright side, Never again will NASCAR let their guards down.